Hello, the mics work. Hey, we're just gonna get started now. So welcome to the first ever Accented Live at Salesforce. My name is Jessica Kwok. I'm an art director here at Salesforce. When I'm not doing my lovely day job, I am the president of Asia-Pac for San Francisco. So we are an equality group here where our goal is to uplift and champion our Asian community and allies. We also love to partner with awesome nonprofits like the one featured here today. And speaking of champions, I think it's a champion month. So maybe Kiev, can you tell us more about that?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Kiev Wan. I am a solution director here at Salesforce. And when I'm not doing my day job, I am also the events chair for our Salesforce for Parents and Families Equality Group. And as Jessica mentioned, it is our champion month. We do these champion months here at Salesforce where we celebrate, different types of groups, equality groups that we have. And I think we have like 14 of them. We have a lot. Lots to celebrate throughout the year. And this is our champion month. So it's great to have you all here. It's great to co-host this event with Asia-Pac Force. And for parents and families, we actually celebrate, it's formerly known as Parents Force, and it's our newest equality group here at Salesforce. But now that we wanted to broaden, the support that we have for our community, it's really for anyone to celebrate families and friends and really celebrate all that. And this event is actually perfect for that, right? The topic that we're going to discuss today is very relevant, and we're excited to have you all here.
Yeah, so let's hand it off over to our nonprofit.
Yeah, we'll hand it off to Isabel, who is the executive director for DVETs.
Thank you for being here on a Thursday afternoon. This is amazing. I just want to reflect, while we're here 20 years ago when I was starting Divan, imagining about Divan, we really thought, oh, we'll move Vietnamese American literature, Southeast Asian literature from the margin to the center. And today, I just feel like this is our space, this is as close of the center we can be. So this is a big day for us. On that note, I want to thank the main partners and sponsor of Salesforce ERG, Asian-Pac Force, and parents and families. The reason we can be here today with you. This show is centered on family connections and API community. So again, thank you, Salesforce, and especially Brian Chen, Jessica Kwok, Tiffany Wong, and Kiev Wan, who put a lot of work behind these events. As sponsors, Sona Foundations, Approvin, and Socola. And also a big shout out, I have to say, to to the Divan team, also put a lot of work. Kathy Nguyen, Caroline Ho, Han Vifan, and Anna Kile. Events like this run smoothly because everybody worked really hard behind the scene. And of course, wish to thank our guest host, Suzanne Liu, speaker Thi Bui, and Wendy Lieu, and also a DJ Puzzle from Accented Show is always here. For those who don't know about Accented, this is an event we started during the pandemic. It's online. It's usually hosted by Vietnamese and Philip Nguyen, and now it's going on KPFAs. And this is the first show, Accented show in person in San Francisco. So this is a big deal. A few notes about Divan. Haha, look at this. Well, and myself a little bit, right? I mean, a lot of, I think I know a lot of you. What? Oh, here I am. I'm a professor in Asian American Studies, with a specialization in Vietnamese American literature at San Francisco State University in the College of Ethnic Studies. And Viet Thanh, who you may know more of him, who won the Pulitzer Prize in 2017 for fictions. We may have to wait another 50 years for Asian American writers who won, 100 years, right, to won the Pulitzer Prize. So for him to stay with us, with Divan, to uplift other writers is a big opportunity for the community. And the reason we started this about 20 years ago, right, or even before as students, is because of the recognitions that Vietnamese American writers and Southeast Asian writers in general, right, have unique barriers, you know, because we often define as by war, right? So it's very hard for writers to be published if they don't write about the war, their refugee experience. Our Southeast Asians, we often less represented still than other East Asians Americans at public events and culture. As people of color, right, we have less access to publishing industries and residencies, right? There is such things as racism, right? As children of refugees of colors, and we also have pressure by the family and community to not tell a story or difficult part of our stories, right? Especially women's and queer perspective. So this year is a big year for us because we became a non-profit organization, right? I had no idea about the amount of work it would take. This is huge, right? So for you being here, is, you know, it's also feel like we're doing the right thing, and thank you for your support. You see here what some of what we do impact for a small nonprofit with very small resources. I think our impact, our reach is pretty significant. We empower, advocate, and foster narrative change for the community, creators, and the next generations through public events, right? Like including this ÁCCENTED, publications. You see some of our books that we published this year by working with other press over there. By the end of this year, we'll have 8 books published, right? We're changing the landscape of Vietnamese American literature. And also in terms of empowering writers, we organize residencies in different countries, in France, in the US, in Vietnam. And we have workshops for our writers and also for community members to tell their stories. So maybe one thing, you know, you can see what we do here, but I'm going to make a quick pitch for one of our programs, which is Dear Needs. And is diacritics. Diacritics is the first Vietnamese and Southeast Asian literary online magazine, and it has a global reach. It was mentioned by Le Monde. It had a big covered story in the Saigonese in Vietnam. We have articles, essays, interview, you know, poetry, reviews. You know, we uplift about 1,500 artists, writers, and critics every year. We have 89,000 readers every year, but 180,000 people look at our website, looking at the critics every year. And it has been funded by Viet Nguyen through his MacArthur Genius Prize. So every year for 5 years, he provided the funding for this. This is the last year, and then we're doing a GoFundMe right now to raise $45,000 this so that we can maintain this online magazine. So if you know of sponsors or if you can help, please consider donating. Also, if you have people, you know, other corporations, right, your business wants to invite us to have event like this, please reach out to us. Because we really want to save diacritics. Well, I will stop now about the event. If you have any other questions, please talk to our staff. So we'll be over there, or myself after the event, and I will start with our program. So a few notes about Suzanne Liu, I guess host, who's replacing Viet Nguyen today. Suzanne, is a pleasure to have her here, and she flew from Seattle to be with us today. She's been involved with Divan for over 5 years. Now she's even the recipient of the upcoming very prestigious Divan Millet Art Residencies, a 10-day residency for all women's writers and non-binary writers. She's been an amazing supporter and friend, and it's wonderful to have you here, Suzanne. Suzanne is a Vietnamese American playwright, performer, and author who tells stories that refuse to be forgotten. Liu is a self-taught artist and daughter of Vietnamese refugee nail salon workers. She directed an autobiographical solo theater show, 140 pounds, How Beauty Killed My Mother, that earned accolades from the LA Times, NPR, and American Theater. A debut memoir, The Manicurist Daughters, will be published in March 2024 from Celadon Books. So please welcome Suzanne Liu.
Greetings, greetings. Hello, and welcome to this amazing event, Accented, Forging a Path Despite Generational Expectations, because we can all relate to that, right? Today we get such a special treat. We're going to be speaking with graphic novelist Thi Bui and my sister, Wendy Lieu, a chocolatier. So we've got a very sweet experience lined up for you all today. Now, let me talk a little bit about this series itself without the microphone falling off. Okay. So Accented Dialogues in Diaspora, it started during the pandemic. It was a time for us to connect with our community and Southeast Asian cultural producers to say, what are you working on? Tell me about your passions, your inspirations. 30 episodes later, we're here and we're still having conversations because we're so hungry to connect and to learn from each other. It's a beautiful thing. And this is our first ever live recording. So thank you so much for being a part of history today. All right, let's talk about the format. The first one, it's going to be, I'm going to have Thi up here. We'll do an interview. Then I'll have Wendy up here. We'll do a private interview with her. Then we'll break for an intermission where there will be chocolate tasting, and other interactive activities. We'll come back and then we'll have a fireside chat with all three of them, followed by a community Q&A. So you'll have a chance to submit your questions and we'll be fielding them up here. At the end, we'll have a raffle because who doesn't like prizes? And then we'll have a book signing and community gathering afterwards. So that's how the run of show is going to look. I'm so pleased to be introducing Thi Bui to the stage. She was born in Vietnam and came to the United States in 1978 as part of the Boat People wave of refugees fleeing Southeast Asia at the end of the Vietnam War. Her debut graphic novel, The Best We Could Do, has been selected for numerous awards, was an all-city read by Seattle and San Francisco, National Book Critics Circle finalist in autobiography, an Eisner Award finalist in reality-based comics. It has appeared on over 30 best of 2017 book lists, including Bill Gates' top 5 picks. She's illustrated a picture book called A Different Pond, written by poet Bao Thi, for which she won a Caldecott honor. These are big deal awards, guys. And with her son, Nguyen, if that's not enough, she illustrated a book with her son, Nguyen, called The Chicken of the Sea, written by Pulitzer winner Viet Nguyen and his son, Ellison. Right? We've got like literary royalty here. And her short comics can be found online at the Nib, Pen America, and Boom, California. She's currently researching and drawing a book of graphic nonfiction about immigrant detention and deportation to be published by One World Random House, which we will talk a little bit more about today. So everyone, please welcome Thi to the stage. Everyone gets really cool walk-on music. Thi.
Hi, Susan.
Hello. I am so excited to interview you today. We first got to meet in 2019 when you came up to Seattle for the City Reads book.
And you played me.
I played Thi in front of Thi. I was commissioned to adapt her graphic novel into like short play segments. And we performed it in front of 2 live audiences. And I performed her in front of her. And it was like literary inception where I was like, oh my God, do you love yourself right now?
And I was just in tears because it was the first time I'd ever seen the book adapted that way. I've actually been approached by people in film who want to buy the rights to, make it into something, or maybe, I don't know, TV, film. And I'm always
no, I'm always like, no, because I don't want another bad Vietnam War movie to be made with my parents' story. It's just too close to home. The only people I've said yes to was your team, because they were the only people that I trusted. And it was amazing to see that performance. And it was so hard to be doing an interview in between scenes of like my family story being enacted on stage. So it would cut from the scene to me, and then they would ask me what I thought.
Sounds like you're in the work. I love it. So, I mean, everyone always wants to know the artist's origin story. Like when did the moment where you were like, I'm going to make comics about my family? When you were a little girl, did you have Barbie, comic book Barbie? Like, was this always something that you wanted to do, or did this come because of a moment?
I think it came about because I almost flunked out of graduate school.
What?
I was doing an MFA in sculpture, and I kept getting in trouble for making work that they said was too narrative. And I didn't understand what that meant. I still don't.
I don't understand what that. What does that mean?
It was like 20 years ago. I think things have changed since then. But at the time, there was very little support for me wanting to tell stories with sculpture and for me wanting to explore my Asian American identity. So it was a very confusing time, and I just sort of gave up on art and drawing. And I said, I'm just going to take my outsider identity and go bring art to other outsiders. So I was in New York City at the time. So I went back to school to get a master's in education, and I started teaching public high school for a while, and just kept trying to figure out how to tell my story, and eventually reading comics, which is like a really wonderful lowbrow medium where people are not snobs because no one's making any money. They just accepted me, and I got to build my work slowly through there. And then now comics are kind of becoming a thing where you can get paid for it, and people are accepting it as actual literature. So I get to say ha to the sculpture people.
Haha. Yeah, we've got actually some really great slides here as well. That really, the clicker, that would have been helpful. Yeah. That's her beautiful graphic novel cover. I love it.
Can I do a short reading?
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't bring books here, so I thought I would give you a tiny taste of what the book is like. So it's told in words and pictures. Here we go. Oh man, my eyes are getting old. All right, let's try.
Just squat down there.
Good thing I wrote this one. All right. And this is nonfiction, by the way. Have our parents ever looked at us and felt slightly disappointed? Such high hopes, so much possibility to fall short. And though my parents took us far away from the site of their grief, certain shadows stretched far, casting a gray stillness over our childhood, hinting at a darkness we did not understand, but could always feel. These are the people I come from. Ma, Bo, Lan, Bic, it's pronounced Bic, okay? Thi, Thumb. I have figured out more or less how to raise my little family, but it's being both a parent and a child without acting like a child that eludes me. We're such assholes. Who, us? That's a bad word. We're the lame second generation. My parents escaped Vietnam on a boat so their children could grow up in freedom. You'd think I could be a bit more grateful. But I am now older than my parents were when they made that incredible journey. But I fear that around them, I will always be a child, and they a symbol to me, both sides of a chasm full of meaning and resentment.
It's so beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, so you're failing out a sculpture, and then you're like, it's not narrative enough. And then how did we get to this book? Like, how did we get to, you know what? I'm just gonna draw comics, and it's gonna be here.
Well, there were these two books out there in the world. One was called Mouse by Art Spiegelman, and another one was Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. And both of them were masterworks in telling a story that was about a family in the foreground and about like incredible world changes in the background. So I had examples, just two, but they were there and I could learn from them. And then I just went and bought more books and checked out books from the library. And I really liked that. It was a very accessible medium. Nobody I knew could afford to buy sculptures, but anybody can go check out a book.
Yeah. So you're revising, you're drawing, you're interviewing your parents. Was that re-traumatizing for you? Was it healing for you? Was it healing for your family? Or is it like 5 years later it is? Or
no, it was a good time because like my parents, they just drop that kind of information on you when you're not ready, like in the middle of breakfast or getting ready for school. They'll like tell you about like their childhood trauma.
they're like, oh yes, would you like some more kanji? And I was in a labor camp.
Right. Yeah. Or, that, oh, this reminds me of that time that like my mother covered me with her own body from bullets from the French raiding our village. I'll be like, oh, and so you grow up thinking, all of these stories already because your parents like sprinkle your childhood with them. But it's when you sit down and try to like get the chronology right and like, treat them like you would any subject if you're a journalist or an oral historian, then you realize there are big holes in your knowledge. And so like turning it into a project actually made me listen better to my parents. And then that made them happy because I was listening to my parents. And I, snuck it in under the guise of a master's project. So I was like, this is for school. So you have to sit down with me.
Right. You can't get a B.
So it was actually like really good quality time that we spent together. And I'm so happy that I had an excuse to ask them all these questions about themselves.
And were they comfortable with the idea of you sharing it with the public?
My dad does not like anybody, so he doesn't care. My mom has friends, and so I think she was a little bit nervous at first, but I think she has this altruistic side. So I think she felt like, oh, okay, I think this is going to be an important project, like for Vietnamese people. So I will help you with this.
I will use my story for the benefit of others.
That's right.
So Asian. Wow. So, I mean, how does it feel to be a Vietnamese artist? Do you feel boxed in with your ethnic identity where it's like, oh, I have to do things always related to my ethnic identity? Or do you find like, actually, it's really rich. There's so much data to mine.
Well, the second one for sure. There's a lot of data to mine. I feel like I need to tell this with pictures.
Yes.
Okay, being Vietnamese and my age, like I was born during the war, it makes you kind of fucked up. Can I cuss here?
We've gotten authorization.
Okay,
yes.
great. And I think that being a Vietnamese artist gives you like a place to talk about that, because it's just not cool to do it to people at a cocktail party. It's awkward.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
It's not fun, but you carry it around with you all the time, right? So it's good to have art as a place to unpack that stuff, like your nightmares and the weird things your parents do. You can't explain it in any other context but here. And then it turns out that a book is kind of a nice thing to slide across the table to somebody else, and you can, touch them in a really personal way privately when they're ready. But being, forwarding to here. I think that I lucked out very early on in life with my high school. Like my parents did that immigrant family thing where they started saving all of their pennies, and we eventually, when I was in high school, moved to like a better place to live, and it ironically put me in the zone for a school that had a bad reputation. And I tried to not go, but then they said, no, that's your zone school, so you got to go. And it turned out to be the best thing for me ever, because the student population looked like this, like these were the leaders of the school. And that makes such a huge difference to see yourself in your peers and in the leaders of your community, because then I didn't feel weird, and it was a formative age where I got to feel like my experience as a refugee and in a family that didn't have a lot of money and like that had a lot of baggage and really complicated history, that was a normal thing for everybody at the school. And I think that gave me like a strength that I carried into my life as an adult. So I have like an entitlement that I'm sad to say not everybody has.
Yeah, we're always saying representation matters. And it's like, if you don't get exposed to it early on, you don't realize how much it changes your own mental trajectory of what you could ever be.
Exactly. And you feel like you have to prove yourself to people who don't look like you. And I don't feel that. I'm like, you guys should catch up. If you don't get it yet, you should catch up because this is the world.
I love it. Amazing. Great. So, all right. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about you and other artists. Is it competitive? Like, is it kind of like, there can only be one Vietnamese graphic novel artist and that's me? Like, does the scarcity mindset of being a refugee carry on in that career of doing the art, of being one of the first all the time? Is it lonely? Or do you find this rich sense of camaraderie with those other folks?
I love that you brought up the quote from a 1980s movie Highlander, which I actually quoted in a comic that I made. I forgot to bring a picture of it, but when I was starting on the book, I was given an advanced reader copy of Vietnamerica by G.B. Tran. And I thought that I was going to be writing the first Vietnamese American graphic novel that was the war. And then here was this book that was already done and it was very good. So I thought that my life was over, that I shouldn't even I shouldn't even do this book anymore. What was the point? But then I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to try. And then I stalked him online and I found his email and I wrote to him and I said, hello, GB. My name is Thi Bui and I no longer want to kill you. And I was wondering if you would maybe want to do a comic with me and possibly be my friend. And he said, yes.
Oh my God, that worked.
Yeah. So I pitched it to Hyphen magazine, which was like a all volunteer run Asian American magazine that was beautiful. And we did what was called a graphic essay together about finding each other. And mine was about my totally immature reaction to wanting to like cut off his head and say there can only be one. And his much more mature reaction, which was like, thank God I'm not the only one, because representation is really hard when you have to represent all Vietnamese American people. So now I'm like in his camp, totally. It's so much better to have like the narrative plenitude that folks talk about, because yeah, my story is like one of many hundreds of thousands of people's stories, but it's not exactly right. And there's different ways to tell it, and so many angles and facets and experiences.
And you've gone on to collaborate with other authors and their children with 2 different picture books.
Oh, sorry, that was more high school. Okay, yes. So this was my boss for Chicken of the Sea, the 5-year-old. This is Viet Thanh Nguyen's son.
Yeah, Ellison.
So this was a picture. That's the author Nguyen Phan Quay Mai, who's an amazing novelist, reading a book to him. And this is what's great. It's like we have these communities now where we play with each other's kids. I gave Ellison a lot of piggyback rides during this retreat, and I like to think that influenced him to then be interested in comics. So after the retreat, he just spontaneously wrote and drew a story that he called Chicken of the Sea. And then Viet and an editor from McSweeney's asked me if I would be able to illustrate it. And I was like, I don't think I'm the right person for this, but let me ask my son, who's like, who draws pirates and battles and whatnot. And he tried out for the job with some drawings and they really liked it. So I convinced Viet that this was a good idea, that I would color and like, make it look professional. But we used Han's raw drawings in it. And it's fun it's just fun to work with other people, especially when you do comics, big, long comics. It's a lot of time spent by yourself. So it is really, really fun to collaborate with other people and have a 5-year-old tell you what to draw.
What I love here is, at first, this talk was about generations, and we think this is just about elders being disappointed in you. But then here, you're now cultivating and nourishing the next generation to also be interested in the arts and culture, to continue telling a lineage of stories. It's so beautiful.
Well, thank you. I had a lot of anxiety when I had a baby that I was just going to screw up my kid with my generational trauma, but turns out, and I think I got this from listening to Trung Le Nguyen, or Trungles, as he's known online. He's the author and illustrator of The Magic Fish, which is a beautiful story about like a young boy like coming out eventually to his mom, and his mom kind of figuring it out on her own and being totally cool with it. Like, this is a book that we really need, and it's a Vietnamese family. And he said something about how reading my book reminded me of the stuff that his parents went through, but then his own experience was very different because he was raised by, kind and loving parents who were understanding, who he could talk to, and that it was possible to like be intentional about your parenting. And that was like, I heard that from him after I had finished my book, and it just gave me this renewed hope in like what was possible in parenting. So I'm keeping my kid and this job of being a parent. And it seems like some days it's going to be okay.
I mean, you're a living example of, yes, the trauma is there, and we can convert that, and we can heal from it, and we can take the richness of the struggle and the sacrifice and the resilience, and we can turn it into something really beautiful for our kids to inherit. So thank you so much. Well, you have more projects. You have another book coming out soon focusing on immigration, detention, and deportation.
Oh, yes.
And those are some pretty heavy topics. So is this a book that will also be geared towards youth? And if it is, how do you frame really complex topics to be accessible to young people?
It's actually a book for old people, but young people can read it too. That's how I describe the best we could do as well. When folks try to give it to their younger kids, I'm like, PG-13. So yeah, this book, I find comics to be a really great Trojan horse, because people pick it up thinking it's going to be light and fun, and then I suddenly made them read like the history of Vietnam, or I'm making them read a tough treatise on like, why do we have so many prisons, and why do we lock up people in America at like, this alarmingly high rate? Are we any safer? So these are some tough questions for Asian Americans right now, as we experience a lot of anti-Asian violence. People are, asking for more cops, more, asking for their own safety. But in the US, with our complicated history, we have to think about who that harms. These are really tough questions, and I've actually gotten a lot of like hate online for bringing these topics up. But I'm doing this book anyway, and it's because it's really easy to be held up as a model minority, once you are successful. But that casts a long shadow on other people who are also part of your community. So yeah, it's a hard book, and I'm taking forever, but I think it's because it's a hard book.
Yeah. Well, when you experience that resistance, that means there's energy there. That means there's something that needs to be said there. So I just want to thank you so much for your courage for doing something that might be uncomfortable and unpopular, but really needed. So thank you. All right. So thank you so much, T. And we'll invite you back to the stage in a little bit. All right. Thank you, T. Well, I'm so excited to welcome my next guest, someone who has known me my entire life. How often can we say that? Wendy Lieu is the CEO and Chief Chocolatier of Socola Chocolatier, an award-winning chocolate company in San Francisco, just 2 blocks down the street from Saleforce. And she's my sister. But instead of just reading a bio about my sister, because I know her so well, how about we take a sneak peek into her kitchen and watch this amazing 5-minute video produced by ABC Localish.
I've had this love for chocolate for over 22 years. I actually started making chocolates when I was just 19 years old in Santa Rosa and Sonoma County. Sôcôla specializes in Vietnamese inspired flavors. So we have chocolates that are not typical. So instead of having a mocha chocolate, we have a Vietnamese coffee chocolate or café silla. We have a durian truffle, a sriracha truffle instead of a spicy chocolate. And we just try to embrace our heritage and find different desserts and things that we grew up with, that we enjoy, and put it into the chocolates.
Sôcôla means chocolate in Vietnamese. Wendy and her team have worked really hard to reinvent chocolate to reflect their heritage using some really interesting ingredients like sriracha.
So the sriracha flavor is mixed with dark chocolate, and so the chocolate kind of enhances the chili notes in there, a little bit of garlic, that spicy tone, but it's about a 6 out of 10 in terms of spicy, so everyone can have this chocolate.
This is really lovely. You can taste something that has that sriracha flavor without it being super overpowering. This is really good. I should save you half.
I'm currently piping durian ganache into dark chocolate shells for our Little Saigon Box. So durian is a very pungent fruit. Some people say it smells like gasoline and onions mixed together, but I don't think so. It is like a custardy fruit. It's from Southeast Asia. It's a special occasion fruit for us, and it's usually during family celebrations that we have it. Those two chocolates are only part of our Little Saigon Box, which is our most popular box, so this is available year-round. And it's basically a 4-course meal in the form of chocolate, a Vietnamese meal. So the first course is a jasmine tea truffle and a Vietnamese coffee truffle. And the second course is savory, so it's a pho spices chocolate. So we take all the spices in pho, and it's paired with a sriracha truffle. And then the third course is dessert, and for us we always have fruit actually. So guava, lychee, passion fruit, and of course durian. And then the final course is cognac, because when we have family gatherings, of course there's karaoke, and sometimes it can help people sing better, or make them think they sing better. Our parents had a nail salon, so every day after school we'd go there to help out. And this meant going across the street to the Santa Rosa Plaza on our breaks and eating free chocolate samples every day. So after having eaten hundreds of chocolates, I finally wanted to learn how to make the chocolates. So I found a recipe in Gourmet magazine and made a mocha espresso chocolate. And that's when I went down a rabbit hole and found a candy supply store and started spending all my money there, buying dipping forks, molds, and learning all about the different techniques and ways to make chocolate. There weren't a lot of programs to learn about chocolate back then. This was 20 years ago. And so it was kind of a journey that I set on my own. And then the curiosity then was like, well, how come there aren't any Vietnamese flavors in the chocolate? And so I had to experiment and tinker on my own to create these new recipes to reflect my heritage. And that's brought me the most joy, and spreading chocolate to friends and family that reflect my heritage and my culture. So we have for AAPI Heritage Month our Heritage Bar collection. So this is where we launched our Durian King chocolate bar, a Touron bar, which is inspired by one of my employees. She loves the dessert, and so she created a chocolate bar to reflect that.
There's definitely Touron taste in there. Yeah. Good job.
A jasmine chocolate bar in dark chocolate, jasmine tea, strawberry matcha, and then kheer, which is inspired by the Indian dessert, the rice pudding. I mean, I think we should celebrate all the time, but it's a very special time because we all get to see other cultures and uplift each other.
What's the best part about making chocolate?
It's very relaxing. I get into a zone when I'm making chocolates, and that's all I focus on is that, and I don't have any worries. I'm just focusing on the chocolate right in front of me. I think it's just the whole experience of enjoying chocolate. It makes you feel good. There's always something to discover about the flavors, and it's just something that makes you happy and something that you can share with other people and experience and travel through just eating chocolate. It can take you to another place, a happy place, a childhood memory, or somewhere you've traveled to in the past. Done!
Socola's client list includes Ferrari, Cartier, Sephora, YouTube, American Express, and Salesforce, and has been featured in NBC.
I've had this love for
still has that love for chocolate.
I've had this love for chocolate for over.
Still has this love for chocolate. And featured in NBC Asian America, KTVU, San Francisco Chronicle, and more. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Wendy Lieu. Oh. Wendy. Hello.
Hello there.
It's been a minute.
I know.
So you officially started Sôcôla Chocolatier with me when you were 19 years old and I was 16. But even before then, growing up in our parents' nail salon, I mean, we were always hustling. We were like making friendship bracelets. You want to buy 2 for 1, you know, like we were making all these things to try to make money. And I think we were seeing entrepreneurship, the small business hustle of our refugee parents all the time. And then there came a point after all this experimentation that you're like, you know what? My passion is chocolate. I mean, most women love chocolate. We all love chocolate, but we don't want to make the chocolate. We just want to buy the chocolate. At what point was it for you where you were like, this is my thing. This is my passion. This is what makes me come alive.
Yeah. So, I mean, growing up, the first experience I ever had with chocolate was from Long's drugstore, right? You get the Whitman samplers boxes, the heart boxes. Those are chocolates. And we never bought them because we didn't have money to buy these chocolates. And so I would just always look at them. But that, you know, that's what stereotypical chocolate gifts were. So I never bought them. But my first experience actually eating them was my parents had a nail salon. And so holiday times roll around, we get See's Candies boxes. So we get to open them up first. Susan and I would rip it, open the packaging, open up the box, and like, what flavors are these? They don't have a key in their box. It drives me absolutely crazy. But anyways, we'd open it up and then we take a bite out of each one, put it back, take a bite out of each one and put it back. And really, I actually didn't like any of them because they were all just a little bit too sweet. Like I would have like the fondant based ones, like basically like a cherry cordial of a chocolate. And I didn't like it. So I kind of just shoved it to the side. But we'd always have it. And honestly, we'd hold on to them for like a year and then open it again. And they're like, wait till the new set comes. And then we have a new set of chocolates. But it wasn't until our parents moved up to Santa Rosa and then we went to See's Candies every day. And they, you know, they give you a free sample, like have a sample, have some. We kept going by there and we keep getting the same samples. I'm like, I don't want any more samples. And they're like, well, do you want to try something else? I'm like, yeah, maybe I can try something else. Like, you can try anything you want. And we're like, oh, okay.
So you were like a kid in a candy shop.
Yes, exactly. And so then we had been trying those certain flavors and then they had the truffle ones and those were set aside and they never really sampled those. And I was like, I want to try the raspberry truffle. And they're like, okay. So I started eating those and I'm like, these are the ones that I like. I don't like those other free sample ones. I like these ones. And so then I just like walked by it every day. So, you know, you're just walking by every day, eating a chocolate. And I tried every single chocolate. And then I was like, stop. How do you make this? Because for a long time, I was just cooking all the time. I loved cooking everything not Vietnamese, actually, like making lasagna and French bread, all these sorts of things, because that's stuff we didn't have. And so I was like, I want to learn how to make that. And then I found a recipe in a magazine and I made a gourmet chocolate and I just rolled in cocoa powder, but I'm like, that's still not it. How do you make it look like that? And so then I started finding more recipes in a candy supply store and I find my molds and tools. And like, I want to learn how to make all of those. And so then I started thinking, I want to master making chocolate. And so that was my first experience with being like, this is where my chocolate journey begins. And that was when I was 19 years old.
I love that story. I actually didn't know the Long's Drug story until today when we were talking about it. And I was like, really? It was the Whitman sampler that got you? But there was something about not being able to have things growing up and so bad to be able to, well, if you can't have it, make it, you know, and there's already at such a young age, you learn the grit from our parents to make what you wanted. And one short story I wanted to share with you is that we started out at this farmer's market in the summertime. And after we counted all the money, and then we were like, okay, we would set aside money to buy more supplies at Nancy's Fancies. And then we would take the rest of the money and we would go to the movie theater. And my sister was like, Susan, you can have the kids' combo meal. And I'm like, what? With the popcorn and soda and everything? She's like, yes. And that's how we got to go to movies. We didn't have to sneak in anymore, because we made our own money. And that was such a wonderful time. was such a wonderful time. All right. So then we're doing the farmers market for a few summers. Now you're in college. This hobby is like starting to morph a little bit. We're selling during the Christmas time. I go to Vietnam and I actually do an internship working with cacao farmers, looking about the supply chain of cacao. Like the world is like so serendipitous in a way. Wendy comes to visit me. And then you say, Susan, I want you to move back from Vietnam to the US, and I want us to dedicate more time to this. Then we start working in our sister-in-law's donut shop, like working from 8 p.m. till midnight when the baker isn't there, experimenting with chocolates, selling them, figuring out if Whole Foods is going to buy them. What does our package need to change? You're moonlighting the whole time. You are working as a management consultant at Accenture for years doing this. And there's a point when a switch flips, where it's not just a hobby anymore, where you say, I actually want to do this full time. I have everything my father has ever wanted. I have health care. I have benefits. I have retirement funds. I have paid vacation, because we know immigrants don't take paid vacation unless it's a federal holiday, right? You had everything Ba ever wanted for you. And then you made a switch to take this big risk. What changed for you?
You know, we had been making chocolates. I think I could never escape chocolates. Like chocolates kept coming back to me. And we do the farm markets and I'm like, okay, I got my job now. I'm not going to make chocolates anymore. And then we would have our old neighbors or people say, so are you still making chocolates for Christmas? Can you make that one? Can you make me one more box? And I'm like, okay, sure. Yeah, I'll make it again. Like, what about for Valentine's Day? I'm like, okay, let me find some space. I'll make some chocolates and we'll ship it. And they're like, can you just make an online form and then we can order it and then you can ship it for us? I'm like, okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. And I was like, I'm really busy with my work now. I think I better, focus on my job. And then eventually I was like, wait, this is so much more fun. So it was kind of like 5 days, Monday to Friday, management consulting, Saturday, Sunday, plus every night making chocolates in this kitchen. And then eventually I was like, I'm really tired. This is 7 days a week. I can't do this anymore. And then so I was like, you know what? I think maybe chocolate is not my calling. Maybe I just got to get out of this. And so I was like, I need to go to pastry school because I'm a self-taught chocolatier. So I just found recipes, I read about it and learned how to make it, learned to create new flavors. But I didn't know if that was it. I was kind of like, I actually think I love croissants. So,
did you love waking up at 3 a.m. to make said croissants?
No. So I went to pastry school in the evening. So this is where everything started getting real crazy, where I would go to work management consulting, leave, go to pastry school in the evening, learn about pastry, wake up again, do all this thing. And then I did an externship at a patisserie in San Francisco. And I was like, oh, he makes the best croissants. I want to learn from him. So then he was like, okay, come here at 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, 2:30 in the morning. Okay. So I would get there at 2:30 in the morning, help him make with all the pastries. And then I would, try to go back to sleep, but at 6, but I couldn't. So I would sleep at 10 and then I have to wake up at 2. And then it was just like this crazy cycle. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like the heat in the ovens. I don't like the time. I'm going back to chocolate. It's cooler. I can work daytime hours. I'm going to be a chocolatier. So that's kind of my turnaround point there.
Is realizing you weren't gonna make croissants.
Yeah, and I was like, it's chocolate. I really want to do chocolate.
But leaving the security of management consulting. I mean, that's food and beverage.
I kind of had this mindset of, I know what my job looks like, and I know I could get promoted to this level and this level, and I knew what my kind of path was. But I was like, but what would my path look like if I switched it and I did chocolates full time? What could become of this? And that was a mystery. And I wanted to explore that because I wanted to know what it could look like. And if not, I could always go back to management consulting, I think, but I was like, I need to give this a shot because I don't want to live not knowing what that possibility might turn into.
And what a generational shift that is to be part of the 1.5 where you're not just thinking about surviving anymore. You can actually say, I have the security and now I can take a new type of risk, a risk that my parents couldn't have ever imagined for themselves, right? That's the luxury that we get. And also the burden that we have of being a part of this generation is trying to make choices for ourselves, despite what our parents also want for ourselves. Now, I know when Sôcôla first started, we had very basic flavors. It was raspberry, mocha, coconut. It was Western flavors, what was available in the market. And then over time, you've been having more Asian flavors in Sôcôla. And then a few years ago, you came out with the Little Saigon Box. It was like full Monty Asian flavors. And that didn't really exist yet. Were you scared at the time to just be like, well, I don't know if anyone's going to buy it, but I'm going to do it? Like, why did you then say, you know, I know what everyone else is making, but I'm going to do it this way? What if it didn't work?
Well, at that time, we had a few flavors like jasmine tea, Vietnamese coffee. We had them all like just kind of part of our repertoire of flavors. They had like 24 flavors, but we really didn't have a collection of them all together. And then once COVID hit, our retail store closed down. And then we were basically just competing in an online marketplace of all chocolatiers, all chocolate maker, all gifts. So how are people going to find us? So we kind of had no choice, actually, because I was watching the bank account go down, 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 trying to keep people staffed because we were like, COVID, the lockdown is only going to be for 3 weeks. And then it became 6 weeks and then 6 months and then a year. I'm like, oh my God, we need to do something. How are people going to find us? And you know how sometimes people are like, you need to narrow your focus and you could be the Vietnamese chocolatier. And I'm like, oh yeah, who's gonna buy any Vietnamese chocolate, you know? And I really had no choice. It was like, I need to be known for something and this is what I'm going to be known for. So we're going to create this box and it's either going to let us survive and continue on for years to come, or we're going to close. So I had no choice. And that's when I was like, we're going to make a pho chocolate and we're going to make a meal in the form of chocolate. And that's how we're going to advertise it. And that completely turned our company around. And so now our store is doing fine. Our online sales has, you know, completely changed as well. And we're known as a Vietnamese chocolate company. And I think the first in the US. So
Sôcôla does mean chocolate in Vietnamese.
yes.
So, you know, and thank you for sharing that. I didn't actually know it was that bad at the time. And so I'm so glad that everyone else loves the chocolate box too. And plenty of them are for sale as well. Okay, so I'm curious about the creative process as an artist. Making chocolates is so much different than writing text or drawing cartoons, comics. So what inspires the next flavor that you're going to create? On it, you're revving on it. How do you know when it's done? Like, are you doing like focus groups, or are you just like, there's like an inner Wendy barometer and you're like, ding, done? Like, how does that work with chocolate?
Okay, so you know when we first started, we had 4 flavors. We had chocolate, milk chocolate, coconut, raspberry. And people would always be like, so, you know, what does Sôcôla mean? I'm like, it's chocolate Vietnamese. Is this Vietnamese cacao? No, because it doesn't exist. I'm like, but we're Vietnamese. See, we're Vietnamese. But we also didn't have any Vietnamese flavors. And so we were always just trying to fit in, like, let's try to like create these flavors and, you know, compete against these other chocolatiers. So we were making these same flavors. And then I just realized, why are we trying to compete with them? Like, why am I trying to compete and make a dark chocolate or a milk chocolate? Why don't I instead make my own path? And I'm going to make a durian chocolate because it's not there. I'm going to make a Vietnamese coffee chocolate because it doesn't exist. So no one has anything to compare me to because I'm the first to create this, or I want to see it. I want to create, I like challenges. Like I want someone to be like, make a pho chocolate and make it good. I'm like, okay, you know, so I want
challenge accepted.
And that's kind of how we come up with our flavors. Like, what about that peanut sesame hard candy? Can we make that? Or how can we turn jabap into a chocolate bar? You know, like all these things, like how can we make these things into chocolate? Like how can we make it into a digestible form of chocolate? So we hear challenges from people and we're like, okay, like someone asked us to make a canchua chocolate. I'm like, bring it on.
So sweet and sour
coming up. So our experimental kitchen, R&D kitchen is constantly going, and we've been really invigorated, you know, seeing that more chocolatiers are coming to the market. We're like, okay, we really need to stand out now. So how do we create new and different flavors? And in terms of when is it done? Well, we have a retail store, so we make people eat samples. And we have friends and family that we have eat the chocolates. And they're like, ooh, more spicy, more ginger. We're like, okay. And then we make a new revision. And then at one point I'm like, it's done. And then it's done.
I mean, that's the amazing competitive advantage of being a small batch artisanal chocolate company. You can be so responsive to your community and then create something beautiful instead of waiting like a whole year product cycle or something like that. Well, here's my last question. So Sôcôla Chocolatier is a women-owned BIPOC small business in a very white male-dominated industry. Like your very existence is disruptive. And so I'm just wondering, as also a mother of 2 young children, how do you do it? Like when things get tough, because I know they do, how do you find the support to keep going? How do you stay motivated, keep going? It's been 22 years of being focused on chocolate. How do you stick with it when it gets tough and when it's lonely?
You know, I think it's just really important to have a diverse group of support. So there's like business support, there's Vietnamese support, there's family support, there's all these different supports. And it's important to maintain all these relationships and know where you need to know who to reach out to when you need help. And I always do that. And I think of my life as like on a plate, but like on a waiter's, you know, on, I don't know what those things are, but
Scales?
Yeah, sure. And then like everything's on there. There's a whole bunch of balls on there. And so at any point in time, the plate can be like, my family needs me, or the chocolate company needs me. And so I'm like, oh, like trying to balance it all the time. And I just also accept that I can't make it perfect. And like sometimes this area is going to drop a little bit, or this, because this area needs my attention, or, you know, vice versa. And I have to be okay with it, because I also get to live my life how I want to live it. And so I just know I have to make a choice, and every choice is okay. And I'll accept the consequence of, you know, something dropping here or there, but I try my best, and I get to do what I want. And so it all works out.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to enter the intermission portion of today's program. There's four very exciting things that are going to be happening during intermission. The first one is, we've talked about the chocolate. Now let's just eat them. They're going to be out there for tasting for all of you. The second thing is, there is a golden ticket out there in one of those chocolate bars. Everyone knows Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and this golden ticket, with one purchase of a chocolate bar, maybe you'll get it. You'll get a special limited edition print from Thi Bui herself. So there's the print right there. It's so beautiful. So you have a chance to win something big, everyone. The second thing that we have is an I am poem writing exercise. So there were some slips of paper out there on the parent ERG table, but this I am poem, you're going to select 3 lines, fill in the blank, kind of like Mad Libs, and then write your name, I am, your name at the end. And when we come back from intermission, you can tap into your courageous artistic soul and come out to everyone and share your poem, because I want to hear it. So we'll call on a couple of volunteers who wants to, we always talk about growth mindset and stepping out of our comfort zone. It's real. It's today if you want it. You know, it's not abstract anymore. So we'll do the I am poem for yourself or to share with the group. And then also, we're going to have Q&A during the campfire portion. So here's a QR code. You can scan it, submit a question, and we will share them during the second part of our portion of our program. So we're going to go into a 15-minute intermission. We'll see you in a little bit. Thanks, everybody.
I think the best thing to do is like find a book, right?
Check, check, check. Okay.
Yes, we'll have to play it by ear though. Thanks, everyone. Intermission is coming to a close. If we could make our way back into the auditorium. Please grab your last chocolates and I am poem and get ready to read. Yes, intermission, we're done. Let's come on back. Yes, that would be amazing. I have no work out there. I'm so worried.
I'll start bringing.
This to work out there. Thank you so much. Intermission is at an end. Please grab your last chocolates and grab a I am poem form and make your way back into the auditorium. Thank you so much.
Here you go. Got this one.
Oh.
Check, check. Check, check.
Hi, we're all done with intermission. Please grab your last chocolates and an I am poem and make your way back into the auditorium. Also, don't forget, there's a raffle. You can go to the divan table and fill out a raffle. Thank you.
Has like a delay and yeah, super weird. It's like,
Thanks, Andre. Come on back. Can't wait to hear those I am poems.
Check, check. Check, check. Check, check. We need another chair. We did have it. We just put it away. Yeah, we got it. Oh, move this. Let's move this. Is that okay? Susan, are we good with it here? Can we just remove the table? Oh, okay. Oh, right. Are you ready? Yeah, they're gonna. You want this? I have another glass. We'll need a table in front of us to put a glass down. Oh, sorry. All right. Welcome back for part 2. Now, who has an I am poem that they'd like to share? I am here to share. Nobody? How about just one person? Sean wants to go?
Hi guys, I'm Sean. I'm one of Susan's friends, so I'm helping her out when she's here, waiting for volunteers, but hopefully we can get more of the divan crowd up here too. Okay, I am from casseroles, jello salads, homemade bread from home milled flour, and cast off boxes past their due date from the dumpster behind Smith's. I am from family pictures lined up on the stairs Christmas morning, pillowcase sacks full of Snickers and Starbursts on suburban Halloweens, and sitting in the second pew rigidly and quietly every Sunday before keeping my tie on all day. I'm from caring, conflicted, and curious. I'm Sean.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I love that. Oh God, this is Halloween imagery. It's beautiful. Could we, with the mics, reduce the echo a little bit? Thanks. Who else would like to share? Oh, I see someone wanting to share right here. I'll just come to you.
Wow, just do it. Encourage her. Yeah. I want to get up. Sure. Sorry, I was trying to.
You can stand right there.
I'll go from the heart. From the heart. Okay. Okay. I am from Cam Tam Bị Thịt Nướng, and wow, there's a lot I can be from. My dreams I've had for my own future. I am from a generation that wants to make my parents' generation proud and comforted. Realizations I've had in life, mottos I hold dear. I am from a
a line my father had always told me since high school is to live my life in peace. I am from a place that I would like to give my parents that peace. I am Bella.
Thank you so much. Do we have one last victim or volunteer? None.
I am from Bang Seo, Chai Yaw, Hu Tiêu, Bò Kho. I am from my Bung Hwai and all the resilient lineage of mothers. I am from living here despite it all, with love as understanding. Oh, yes, I am Ngung. I am Vu Thi Ngung. Yes.
Thank you so much. All right. Now we are going to welcome back up T and Wendy to the stage. Yeah. Look at this leather crew right here, unplanned and so badass. All right. So I'm sure folks storm you after these events going like, I've got dreams. They're non-traditional. They don't follow in the 5 categories that my parents want: doctor, lawyer, engineer, pharmacist. And recently my dad wanted me to become a loan officer. What's your advice for people to go against the grain? Because it's not just society's grain, it's your parents' judgment. Like, do you even have any advice for that? It's so scary. They're so scary.
I mean, I think I lucked out in being a younger child. So my 2 older sisters just wore down my parents. Also, one of them did go to med school. One went to law school.
Okay, so they fulfilled their dreams.
So then I was like, okay, but maybe we should hear from an older child.
Well, I'm actually direct middle. So I did have 2 older brothers who did break my parents too quite a bit. And then
one of them's in the audience. Hello,
oh,
Kay.
yes, he's a dentist. So in Roanoke Park. So if you need some dental work, please contact.
Thank you, oldest children.
Yes. But I think, you know, for me, when I graduated from high school, I had done like a culinary arts program through high school. And I was like, I want to go to culinary school and not go to college. And so I was like, I want to go to the Culinary Academy. And it was like $20,000 a year or something like that. This is 2000, the year 2000. That's a lot of money. My dad was like, no, I will disown you. I will not support you. So you need to go to college. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to college. So I went to UC Davis because I got into UC Davis and did managerial economics. And I did everything I needed. I was like, I need to get a job. So I got a job management consulting. And I was like, when I have my own money, then I'll do it. And so I kind of just felt like I had to find the person I needed to feel complete at, you know, making happy. So my dad was like, okay, you went to college, then you got your job. Okay, go ahead, do whatever you want. So it just took a lot longer. And of course, he still was disappointed at first, but after seeing people eating the chocolates and like, oh, you're a newspaper? Oh, people actually like your chocolates? Okay, yeah, go ahead, you know? And so when I told him I was going to take the leap and leave my job, he was like, okay, like me and your mom, we left Vietnam and we wanted to see, you know, what that future might be. And so I applaud you for taking that risk. So it was like doing something different, but feeling that safety net as well. And so I felt like I had satisfied his like desire of me doing some corporate work and that sort of thing. So it just took a lot longer.
But it's just so ironic. It's like your parent, our father didn't support you to succeed so that you could take the risk to succeed. It was once you succeeded, then he could say you succeed.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm like, wow, we just answered all the questions. How do you see parenting as and trauma and healing? Do you actively think about these themes now that both of you have kids? Like, how do I give them grit now that they're growing up in privilege? How do I have them dream? Like, because in a way, our parents crushing our dreams made us fight for those dreams. So do you want to crush your children's dreams?
I mean, sometimes it seems like he could use it. Honestly, if I'm going to be, very honest, I sometimes want to yell at him for the very comforts and privileges that I've provided for him because he doesn't value them the same way that I do because I had to like create them all from scratch, and he just gets to take them for granted. And sometimes I have to like check myself and tell myself to chill a little bit because it's not his fault also. But there's a little bit of like conflict, I think healthy conflict, where we get to like explain where we're coming from. So
Wait, does he listen? I mean, is it a
kind of.
continuous conversation?
Oh yeah,
Or is it?
Yeah, nothing's ever like, once and done. You have to say everything 1,000 times.
He's not like, yeah, and then that's it.
No. I mean, he's learned that he can't really argue with me when I'm very angry because I won't listen to him. So I have a little bit of like that scary parenting thing, but I also try to, not Hulk out on him every time. It's not healthy or worth it.
Yeah, because our parents used to Hulk out at anything, right?
Yeah, and the kids now, I think like you discipline them one time, they're like, yeah, they're so fragile.
My nephews are in the audience as well.
But they're probably going to grow up to be less scarred than we were. Hopefully, that's the idea.
Right, but then that's just the double standard around grit creation, though. Like, how do you create kids that are resilient if they never face that type of struggle?
Do you think they even have to be so gritty?
You want to just create squishy, mushy kids?
Well, I mean, think about some of our peers, right? Were they so gritty? No,
I don't think
Wait,
so.
when you say peers, you mean white people?
Yes. I mean, people who grew up with like parents who were loving and a roof over their head and, a second house somewhere nice where they could go summer and a whole $1 to spend at the candy store. Like those friends existed, right? And they didn't have to be gritty and they're doing fine, I think.
Yeah. I was just,
we hung out with those friends. That's where you went after school.
Like I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, and it's very hard because sometimes, like my son is really into robot vacuums and vacuums. He owns like 15 different vacuums. He loves them. And at some point you could be like, no more robot vacuums, like go start practice your handwriting or like do something else. But the love that he has for it. And I know like sometimes you could just like squash it, but I was like, that's what my parents would have done. And I'm like, I want to do it a little bit different. I want to like have him embrace that. And so it's kind of like, whenever I kind of get to that phase, I kind of go, okay, take a chill pill because it's going to be fine. But installing grit is like exposing them to what they don't have or a situation. Like maybe it's, having them go volunteer at a food, like a food bank or something like that, but like trying to find some experiences for them to like see the real world, because we want our kids to have everything we didn't have. Right. And so if we can do that now, like we're going to try to do that, but it's always kind of like you go forward and back, like I want to, but I don't. So it's like trying to find those teachable moments of like how you can help them understand that. Like sometimes we make them watch videos about the world in Africa and like people don't have food there. Because when I was growing up, my parents would be like, every piece of rice in that bowl that you don't eat is a worm you have to eat in the afterlife. So we're like, so you get like, how do you instill this scare in them? And so I try to find ways to do that.
Yeah. And then I guess like the goal, like now that we realize that they're not going to starve, if they don't like get straight A's or something because they have a safety net, then like you get maybe a little bit more time in your parenting to like make sure that they're kind people who think about others.
Yeah. And I mean, society is changing so rapidly now. Like, why go to college when you could go to coding boot camp? It's like, we didn't really have those options then. It was like, if you don't go to college, your life will be over, right? Society is just so different now. We've got some questions from the audience and I'd love to share them. Here's one for Wendy. As an Asian entrepreneur, how did you get funding to start your business?
So that's a good question. I actually worked at Sanrio Surprises, the Hello Kitty store. That was my dream job, people. Like when I was growing up, I was like, how old do you have to be to work here? And they're like 16. This is when I was like 10. I was like, how old do you have to be? They're like 16. And they're like, but at 15, if you get a worker's permit, I'm like, I'll be here when I'm 15. So I got a worker's permit. I applied that day. I got the job and I worked there all through high school. It was my dream job. I like made it. That was it. But I saved up all my money through that. And I, had a little bank account and like a debit card and all that. So I probably like $300, of like actual savings money. And that's how we started the company. And then over time we, built that account, like it became not my account anymore. Then we, had some sales and grew it from there, but it's all bootstrapped. And actually Susan and I still own the company fully. And it's just grown over time. It's profitable. It's our own business, but it's just taken so much longer. I think, if I had taken some funding from, other people, I might have grown faster or be able to market quicker, but it wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't have the same creative control over the company. Like I would have to answer to someone else, and I didn't want to do that.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. T.I. did not write this question. Do you have any ideas for a graphic novel about chocolate?
A lot of pressure.
Do you want to collaborate with 2 other chocolatiers that are Vietnamese?
That happen to be sisters?
Yeah. And also, what's your favorite sweet treat?
Will I get paid in chocolate?
Yes. Looks like that's open.
Carloads.
Carloads
of chocolate. Okay, well, like Wendy knows like a way to my heart, through my taste buds and my love of her chocolate. Wait, so what's the second question?
Do you have a favorite sweet treat?
Oh, the pho in the Little Saigon Box, the pho chocolate like really rocked my world, and I still think about it. But do you remember when you were asking me for suggestions for names for what eventually became the Little Saigon Box?
What'd you say?
I think I tried to get you to call it a Vietnamese orgy in my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad you didn't go with that.
We kind of put it. It was there on the list. It just kind of moved down a little bit, but
it was a high contender.
Are you sure you want me to write your graphic novel?
TBD. All right. So when
old people.
Yes. So Wendy has said her mission is to make flavors that taste like home. So the question to both of you is, what flavors taste like home to you? And if you were a Vietnamese snack treat, what would you be? What flavors taste like home? And if you were a snack, what would you be? Such an Asian question.
For me?
For both of you.
Go ahead. There was a banana one. There was like one that reminded me of like chè chuối, the banana chè. I was like, definitely home taste in there.
And then if you were a snack, what kind would you be?
Okay, so there's like one that's like a very Southeast Asian treat that I just read about in a book coming out called Slow Noodles that has like all of these beautiful memoir chapters about like Cambodia and Vietnam during the war. And then in between them are these recipes. And there was one that really captured my imagination and I want to try it. Maybe I should get you to help me, Wendy. It's like little bananas sliced and then like with crushed peanuts. And then I can't remember what the sweetener is, maybe honey, but it's like all very natural and then just like smashed in like a Ziploc bag.
Do you use a hammer and you're just like, rage, my trauma?
Oh, no, you put your, maybe, or all the Vietnamese American literature that you buy. And then you put a reused popsicle stick in there, like, and then you smash it and then you put it in the freezer or something and you got your own popsicle that's like healthier than anything out there.
Ooh.
That's what I would do.
Is that a challenge to Wendy?
It's a date.
Okay. How about you, Wendy? What tastes like home?
I would say like green mangoes with fish sauce and sugar as a dip, or apples with mom rule. That's what grandma would eat. I like that a lot. Dessert wise, also chè khoai tiem, and then with coconut milk on top. That's like my favorite from Vietnamese sandwich shops. So good.
And then if you were a snack, you would be
I guess I would be all of those.
All of the above. All right. So, I mean, in each of your works, so wildly different, desserts to graphic novel, graphic memoir, you're telling your family story. You're mining your family memory to have them continue living on today. And so I guess so many people in the audience are curious about telling their family narrative. At the same time, their parents find it very traumatizing. They're still suffering from PTSD. They block it because it's easier for them. What advice do you have for other folks that want to know their families and have tried and haven't succeeded?
I'll let T answer this one. Okay. I mean, sweeten the deal with some chocolates, right? Or and talking about an artifact, like one photograph is a good start. Ask them really specific questions. Don't try to like get in there with like the most deep and profound questions you can think of, because those are really hard to answer for anybody. Like, how would you like it if somebody like sat you down and was like, hit a tape recorder and was like, what was the most important experience of your life? You would just make up something, right? Like just to get them off your back. But if you're asked like really specific questions, like, what did you wear on the first day to school? You'll remember that. Or like, what was your favorite thing to eat when you were a kid? Or what kind of stuff did your mother make you?
Because those are low stakes questions.
Start with low stakes questions, start with concrete questions, start with stuff that you don't know, but it's small, and then build and build and build till you have a lot of data. And then you can sort of create a hypothesis about what kind of person you're talking to. And then you can kind of present it back to them, and then they'll react. But you have to give them something to react to, rather than like asking them a big, broad question that they have to relive trauma or that they want to forget about to get to.
I definitely agree with that. Like I like to have conversations with my dad, and he'll be like, so what's up? And then we can just ask, I can ask just like, oh, like, what did you like to eat, when you were growing up in your village, so it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's just a very much more relaxed conversation than like, what was the war like for you, so just keeping it light. I like to keep everything light. So chocolate, sweets,
Yeah, so I think like finding a small way in, and then if they want to keep going, then they keep going. I definitely found that to be true while I've been writing my memoir for the last 2 years, and
it's done. I can't wait to read it.
It's done. And it'll be coming out in March. But definitely, God, but see, the thing about this is you don't realize how the simplest questions can still be landmines.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to comment because Susan would call my dad and ask a question. Sometimes they have a good conversation and sometimes they have a bad conversation, and then they hang up. And then I get a call from my dad and I get a call from Susan. I'm like, oh no, what happened? So Susan's like, I think it went fine. And then my dad would like, and like leave me a long voicemail. So I was always on the other side of the questioning. So when she asked a bad question, I knew I knew when it happened, and they would both call me, and I actually wouldn't pick up either call because too hot, Sorry, team.
Yeah, is this why I've been sat in the middle of you two? Are you in the memoir also?
Wendy's definitely in the memoir. Yeah,
I wear my leather.
I mean, but that's it with family. Like if you do have siblings, every sibling has a role to play, right? And maybe my dad feels safer with my sister, and he can call her and talk to her about things and find comfort. But it's family so complicated.
Because you're kind of the intense one, right?
Me? No. Yeah, I mean, maybe I push a little bit. I was like, you're not going to talk about our past? Fine. I'm going to do my own research and put it on a play and take it on a nationwide tour there.
And they're like, oh God, Susan.
Yeah. And you incorporated that into your one woman play, which I've seen, and it's incredible. And you're so brave at like putting it out there and like doing it in front of other people. I have to do it in private and then put it in a book and slide it across the table to people.
Well, I mean, I certainly have been experimenting with, as an extrovert, I'm an extrovert. And writing alone is so hard. The creative process is so lonely. And yet I was speaking to someone earlier about what it takes to finally hear your voice, what it takes to finally know to answer the question, who am I and what do I want? Because we are so conditioned by our family, our upbringing, our past to want things that they wanted, right? So that we could prove our own worth. And then there comes a point where you hit a wall and you deconstruct who you are. right? And it takes courage to actually really know your own truth. And that takes time. What was that point like for you when you had to pursue your own truth?
I think I'm still doing it. Like I just moved I'm in the process of leaving Berkeley, and I'm moving across the country to New Orleans to start a new chapter of my life. I bought an old house. My son's going off to college. I'm running away from my family because I need that space to work on
Because
my
you love them
next-
so much.
if I stuck around, I think I would then start to take care of them in other ways. My parents are getting older, and it's just endless. Like a woman's work, a daughter's work, a mother's work. It's just endless, and it will take up as much energy as you give it, and then there's not enough left for the work that you want to do while you're still on this earth. So I have to have a little space sometimes to do my own stuff.
I get it. I live in Seattle. My family's in the Bay. How about you, Wendy? About finding your truth?
Yeah, it's just like a constant journey. And I think it's always searching and always looking. It's never done. I think I am where I am with the chocolate company and this, and it feels great. It feels great and to be present at this moment and be doing what I'm doing. And I know that the journey just continues. So what's the future? I don't know, but I know that I'm always just working towards something, and that keeps me going.
Beautiful. And I think that's just wise words to end on. Everyone, please give a wonderful thank you to T and Wendy. All right. We'll have some closing remarks by Isabel.
Oh, this is so wonderful. Well, just my closing remark is basically thank you for all of you for being here, and the Salesforce ERGs, Asian PAC Force, parents and family, and the Divan staff, and to our sponsors, Sonal Foundation, Approvin, and Socola. I guess Suzanne Lieu Thi Bui, Wendy Lieu, and yes, DJ Puzzle over there. And if you like to have more information about Divan, visit divan.org and get some information at the table. Please consider making a donation to our GoFundMe for Diacritics, which is at the risk to be discontinued this coming year. You know, this is real, right? And this is for our communities to be visible and provide opportunity for emerging writers to find their voice. T will be signing books at the merch tables, and there is more Sôcôla available to take home. And our table, we also have books for sale that we've published this year for you to enjoy. Also, please fill out the surveys about how you feel about this event. It's very important for us to have those as a new nonprofit organizations, right? For grant writing, for funding opportunities, and for improving our programs. And thank you again for being here, to be such a great audience. Stay here, we have a video for you, and Suzanne will now lead our raffle.
All right. Winner, chicken dinner. Who's feeling lucky? Yeah. We've got 4 prizes to hand out today, if you stuck around. The first thing is my coveted I Eat My Feelings note cards. The note cards here, it's they were created for my tour show 140 pounds. So it says, did you eat yet? Very common phrase. And inside it says, because you make me feel full inside. Another card, it has banseo on it, and it says, I made you your favorite because you are my favorite. Okay. All right. Let's see who wins this one. Can I get someone from the ERG, both of the ERGs to come on up? Pull the winning ticket. Give. All right. You okay? Yeah, go. I eat my, okay. Okay. Amelia Podka? Are you here? Yes. Come on down. You get a 9-set card of I Eat My Feelings note cards for you to communicate your feelings through food. All right, let's see. And Jessica, next one is a Divan published book. You want to draw this one? All right. The winner is Malin Miley Malin at salesforce.com. Okay, here you go. And well, we will hand you the book in just a little bit at the table. All right, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Isabel, do you want to call one? This is for T's, one of her most recent books called Finding Papa.
Hey, Kashmit Shoddy. That's
Kashmit Kanti? You snooze, you lose? Not here? One more? Okay.
Grace Wee.
Woo? Grace Woo? Grace Woo's a winner. All right. We'll give you Finding Papa. We'll go to the Devon table and we'll give you some details on that. And finally, a Sôcôla 12-piece box. I know. It's like saying, like, pick me. I'm not looking. Okay. My nephew, Isaac Liu. All right. So we've got a 2-minute Devon video if you want to check it out to learn more about our programs. Feel free to go get some more chocolates. And thank you, everyone, for Accented 29.
For me to be here, to have the chance to present my work is just a dream coming true, you know. I mean, imagine, you know, this girl from a small village of Vietnam dreaming one day to write a book, and that dream is true today.
I really like the word diaspora. It's got a sense of movement in it. Diaspora encompasses like a human experience that I really like. So people outside of the Vietnamese diaspora can understand what it means too, because they have their own diasporas that they come from.
My only mission in life is to share beauty. And when I write, it's really only about, you know, beauty.
Any culture you grew up with, like, you're going to take that with you, no matter what you're writing or how you're writing. It's part of you already.
And that's the beauty of us all, I guess, to own at least 2 cultures.
But I found the challenge of writing and of becoming a writer that much more augmented, because I wanted to write poems that I could translate to my mother and write poems that were honest, that were about what I wanted to say, all at the same time.
You know, our stories and poetry are important. They have the power to humanize us, and the ability to be heard can help us humanize ourselves to ourselves.
And now, fortunately, for those of us who are Vietnamese, we have an audience. We've built this audience. Now you're not lonely because, you know, we have built a community of readership.
We believe that empowering Vietnamese voices around the world, that the stories, imaginaries, and poetics of a thriving Vietnamese diaspora can unite our global community. Our mission is to celebrate and foster diasporic Vietnamese and Southeast Asian voices. Our complex and diverse stories must be championed and passed on to current and future generations because we are refugees, immigrants, survivors, and descendants, and our stories must be heard.
All right. So please fill out that survey, support Diacritics with that GoFundMe. And I heard that someone won the golden ticket. Who was the winner of the golden ticket? I heard you won. So maybe open up your chocolate bar because you won and reveal yourself. Yes, and Andrew confirmed. Okay, well, anyways, you are a winner. And I hope you tell us who you are so we can give you a prize. Oh, congratulations. Oh my God. We had winning. We had talking about our past. It was a rich accented. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.